Lonsdale's here, and Renee, and my sister somewhere, you probably know her. You know, we really appreciate everything you've done for us for the 5 past weeks. I've got other family here. You've probably seen us outside taking pictures. You know, we all really appreciate everything that you've done. Organising the funeral was the last thing we can do for people in this lifetime. Typically, Dad didn't leave a will, so it was really challenging when I started out. But I think what I loved about it was the fact that it became a community event. Everybody had an input into what happened to today. Not all of it went according to plan, but most of it did. And it made it feel really special to all of us. It was very personal to Dad, and we appreciate it. The saying, "It takes a village," has never applied to something more than it applied to today. I just want to take time to indulge myself. I want to say thank you to a few people. Wendy, she's probably outside now. Wendy did the programs, these live stream. There she is, she's over there, my bestie. She did programs, the live streams, all the stuff that you've seen that's got Dad's name on it. Wendy did it. The flip book, if you haven't seen it, the QR code, if you had to scan that, it's all Wendy. And she's just been, you know, like last week, I ate off her plate twice, and both times it was Wendy that put it in front of me. Samira, in the bar, where are you? Samira's the reason why I still have a job. At work, when I was tense and wanted to sack the whole team, Samira was the one that used to take me outside and around the block. So you guys are amazing. Mel and Bernice, if you're still here, I know I haven't reached out to you that often, but I felt your hands at my back every day. I know that if I was to fall, you would be there to catch me. And I love you guys so much, you have no idea. Canon Bowman, also Father John, he's not here. Your guidance on how we blend those two services. You know, Dad's like the Christian church that he was going to for so long, and all his faith in the lodge and all your practices. The way that you blended it was seamless, and I appreciate that. You gave Dad the send-off that he would want. I just can't begin to express. Brenda Lewis, I know that she's not here. Lodge staff. I mean, I must have asked that woman about 99 times what order his regalia goes on, and she just kept telling me time and time again. I really appreciate her efforts. Michelle, who's the building manager, you would have seen her, she's marching around. When I said my dad has died, I'm looking for a venue, she said no problem. She said yes before I told her the day. I wouldn't have, finding a venue in London where you can bring food and you can bring drink is impossible. There she is, creeping in. Michelle, we're talking about you. Thank you. To my long-suffering partner, Errol, who's outside somewhere. He doesn't listen, but what he has been able to do is being able to call on his friends and to, point us in the direction of the ice that hasn't come, the food that was late. That's all Errol, but we love him for it. To everybody that has reached out to me and my family, we love you, we appreciate you, we appreciate everything that you've done for us. Every message, every phone call, every hug, it meant so much to us, it helped us through today. So the last thing I want to say is to the man that brought us here today. Our dad, our granddad, great granddad, uncle, brother, friend, next door neighbour, whatever he was to you, the person who guided us and was on our compass. Alfred Gardner, we will miss you always and we love you. If anybody wants to come and say anything nice about my dad, feel free. If you've got any stories about him, that would be really nice because he was a private man and he never really used to say much. Okay, Canon Bowman, it better be good gossip, that's all I can say.
Thank you, David. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, as some of you know, I'm a lodge, I'm a mechanic. And when I joined Tuscan Lodge, I was really rough. And Freddie was at my initiation. The next Saturday night, I saw him at the dance. And when you saw him on the dance floor, you know he's Guyanese. And he came up to me and he said, "Your name?" "Ivlaw Bowman." I said, "Yes." He said, "Your father was in the war?" I said, "Yes." He said, and when he came back, he was at the post office in Guyana? I said, "Yes." And he was working at McEnroy? I said, "Yes." He said, and it's there I met your father at McInroy, because he had just come back from serving in World War II in the Navy. From that day on, to this day, he has never let go of me. And every word I said today is true to this. Debbie, working with you, oh my God. When you sent me the first draft, I said, no, I have to steer you carefully. When I changed all the hymns, I said, be careful, you know. But it was a pleasure working with you. And when I saw the final product today, I says, whoa. And you weren't there when I arrived at the Nazareth house, and they were waiting to receive me. And the sisters took me to the vestry, and I wouldn't like to tell you, they spoiled me rotten. But may his soul rest in peace, and one day with the saints and ancestors rise in glory. Sisters and brothers, on behalf of Freddie, let us give him a round of applause. Now, before I go to the DJ, I like music. And when I came in, you were playing big people music. You know, Studio One and them things. So, keep it up. Thank you.
Talk to him.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm somewhat emotional, but I could remember. Could you all hear me?
Yes.
My father-in-law was such a loving man. Whenever I needed a babysitter in America, I could call my father-in-law and ask him to come and babysit for me. I have an emergency. And my father-in-law have done it on numerous occasions. He has babysit Leandra, Laird, came to America and do that. You do not find people or anyone doing that, but my father-in-law has done that for his grandchildren. And I really appreciate him. Anytime he was sick, I would always call, find out how he's doing. I always tell my husband, I said, listen, we have to go to London. We have to go and see your dad. Because I remember when he had the strength, he will pay his passage and come to America. And I think we had to do it in return. And we have done it. And I will continue, once God gives me strength, to come to London to visit his other children, Debbie and Joanne, because the family was very, very instrumental and good to us. That's all I have to say. And thank you, thank you. Yes, you want to say something? Yes. Anybody?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anderson Seal. I'm an Aryan person, just like the canon before me, and he likes to talk a lot, but I don't. But I could not sit there and let this evening this time pass without mentioning what Freddie, in the time I knew him, which was from 1990s up to the time he died. And I'll tell you a couple of incidents that will bring to mind the sort of person he was. I joined Royal Mail and I worked on nights, and Freddie Gardner was working on nights. And when I found out that he was a mechanic, rather like I was, and we got to have many conversations. And there was another brother called Professor Haywood, Brother Haywood. So there was Professor, there was Gardner, and myself. And as long as we got a place and we sat together, it was all fraternity talk going on. The others didn't know what we were talking about. But this is where, and some of you would have heard, and there are mechanics among you here tonight, that have heard the term Mechanics Congress. And I'm here to testify to the fact that it was Freddie Gardner who started that process of Mechanics Congress. Because Freddie Gardner and Professor, and he said, we have this lodge under the Scottish jurisdiction and the Preston unit distriction and that distriction and this. And he said, but there is no umbrella organization. We are like sheep without an overhead body. And he used these terms, I'm using the words he used. He says, you have the United Nations. And they're all different countries that have come under one umbrella, if you like. They retain their own independence, but they come under this umbrella. And you have the European and all this. And he mentioned, so we had this deep conversation where he says, why can't we have something like that with the mechanics? And that is where the Mechanic Congress idea was born. Freddie Gardner, remember that? Remember that. It was nobody else. It was Freddie Gardner, Professor, and those are the two guys who started the Mechanics Congress. And why I'm stressing this is because he was a brother who was deeply enthralled, associated with the brotherhood in that respect. He was there when I was initiated. He was there when I received various degrees. Up to the priesthood degrees, Freddie Gardner was there supporting me and giving me advice all the way through those times. And the lady who just spoke, when she mentioned about Freddie coming over to the States to look after his grandchildren, I remember that. On more than one occasion, he said that. He's going over to the States to look after. He was that sort. He was not just a brother, but he was a very intense family member as well. So when I got this phone call saying to me, are you Andy Seal? I says, yes. And she says, you play the organ? I says, yes. And she says, well, I want you to play for my father's funeral. There she is. Diane. And all today I'm trying to find out where is the end, because all I got was the voice. I remember the voice, but I didn't have the face to it. And I keep asking members, and I said, where is the end? And she says, oh, she's over there. And because of the crowds, I can see it. Let me tell you something. I would do anything for that brother. He has left such an impression on my mind and all the mind of all of us here tonight. I'm telling you. So to your family, and you treasure that photograph that you just took out there with all the family together. You need to treasure that and remember Freddie Gardner, as we will remember him as brothers in the fraternity. You will have a deeper remembrance of him. Because I'm not preaching, I leave that to the canon, right? He's gone on now to his other life of eternal existence. So to the family, thank you very much for having us here today, and we wish you all the best. Keep in contact. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Freddie's last son. My name is Rennie. Rennison, they call me Rennie. I would like to thank everybody for coming, especially my relatives, which I don't know them, because I'm from Guyana. So I'd like to know each and every one before I leave. That's all I have to say.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sister Jenny Salmon from Hiron Lodge number 1. I met Brother Freddie Gardner on the first when I was initiated. He had initiated me, he helped me through my master's when I went to get my degrees and went in the chair as word the ministry. And he was there to guide me over the phone all along. We spoke frequently to each other. He even came and visited me one Saturday with his 2 lovely daughters. And they left us and went to see what the high street where we were living. And he said to me, I wonder if they get lost. I said, no, they're just going to do some little shopping. And we sat there and waited, and we had a lovely meal. And every morning, I sent Brother Gardner text messages. And he was so grateful, because he used to call me back and said, sis, I'm so thankful, this kept me going. But you know the one thing, I promised him I would come to see him. And I even said to him, what do you want me to bring for you? He said, just come, I've got everything. Debbie and Joan brought me everything I need, just come. Something came up, and I didn't get to go. And you know something? When I got the call that Brother Gardner died, Brother Warner called me this Saturday morning, and he said, you know something? Brother Freddie has died. I said, you're kidding? And he said, yes. And it's like a part of me went. I said, oh my good Lord, I should have gone to see the man. And I texted Debbie and gave her my condolence. And you know, it bothers me so much. And even yesterday, I said I had to go to the chapel and to just go and say a quiet prayer and ask him forgiveness, to forgive me that I've been promised to come and see him and I didn't go. But he was so peaceful and he had a resting place. And there's a saying says, if we have something to do it now. Because we never passed through this world once. And sometimes if we just have to say, leave this and come back and do it, you know? But he's rest in peace and he's gone to a good place, and may his soul continue to rest in peace. And Joe and Debbie and the rest of the family, you're all in our prayers. And I will always keep in touch with you both, because you are the only two out of the family that I know. And may God bless you, and thank you for your inviting us, and thanks everybody from the fraternity who are here to support you. God bless. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Freddie's second son. And everyone is giving Freddie thanks and praise. All those thanks and praise belong to me. And I'll tell you why. When I was born, my mom told me that I used to cry a lot. And she said one day, I slept and slept and slept and slept and slept. I wasn't waking up. And she suspected that my dad did something to me. So she said, Alfred, what you did to this baby? Tell me what you did or I'm going to call the police. And he was like, I give him some nickel. And she said, what? You give this little baby some liquor? And he said he was crying and crying and crying, he wouldn't stop. So he gave me some liquor, and that knocked me out cold. So all those thanks and praise that you gave Freddie belongs to me. That's all I got to say. My dear friends, sympathizers, friends, family, I feel that in all of these tributes that I paid to Freddie, I have to come and say something. I'm not a family. I'm not one of those who have been in close contact with him. But the man has had so much influence in my life, and I felt being here in Europe, I had to come and pay my respects to his family and to the respect that he has passed away, because he has been so much of a great character in my life. I am one of those guys who made my living on the street. I can't say that I've regretted anything, or that I've learned so much that I've been a good fellow because of it. But I must say that because of my association and knowledge of Mr. Freddie Gardner, that he has made a very, very important contribution to the country way that my life has been going. Now, I don't live in England, but when I heard that Freddie had passed away, I thought to myself, I must be here to pay my last visit and my lasting respects to the reflect that he has had on my life.